Mm-hmm.
Okay, time being 7 o'clock, I'm going to call the Board of Health meeting to order for May 2nd, 2016. In attendance, Mary is myself, Linda Dickey, Susan Emery, Samantha Hall, and Allison Griggs, as well as the health agent. And the first order of business is to do the reorg, so I will pass the meeting over to Sharon to do the nominations for chair.
Thank you. I'm going to open up the meeting asking for nominations for the position of chairperson. Do I have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Terry Mays for chair.
I'll second that.
That was quick. Any discussion? Okay.
Any other nominations?
Yeah. Excuse me?
Any other nominations?
Oh, any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Linda for vice chair. Linda Dickey.
Wait, we got to do the chair first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So any other further discussion or any other nominations for chair? Okay. Can I have a vote, please? All in favor?
aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's unanimous, Mary. I'll turn it over and I'll take it back.
Okay,
And
sure.
we'll take nominations for the vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Linda Dickey for vice chair.
I'll second that.
Second. Any other nominations for vice chair? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, 500. Thank you very much. Okay, just to start off, a couple meeting rules. All meetings, all questions come through the chair. One person talks at a time, and we'll be good to go. So first item on the agenda is the public hearing for the noise waiver request from the Addington School Building Committee. And you guys want to tuck up a little closer to the table? The mic's up here, that way. We've got the small room, so we've got the camera in the awkward corner, so when you come up for questions, you're going to have to come up and kind of talk to the desk. All righty. So who would like to start?
Good evening. My name is Richard Tester. I'm the chairman of the building committee, resident of Abington, 121 Presidential Drive. With me this evening is Peter and Schaefer, superintendent of schools, and Mary Mahoney, our owner's project manager. We are requesting a waiver of section 7, item 11, which is the noise ordinance related to general construction. It would be specific to the setup and finishing of the concrete floor slabs, and that would be the only construction that would be included within the request of that waiver. I will turn it over to Mary to speak in greater detail about the project and what that would mean.
So for the purposes of the waiver, we are requesting the ability to extend construction operations past the hour of 9 o'clock on weekdays. That would only be utilized for the purpose of placing and finishing concrete slabs. That's the floors, both on slab on grade, which is on the ground floor, and then slab on deck, which is the second floor of the building. Thus far, we've been able to place 4 different locations in the building. We have been lucky enough with the weather to be able to complete without disrupting the neighbors and extending past the 9 o'clock hour. But we do have approximately 6 more placements to go, and in those 6 placements, we are going to have a significant amount of concrete in at least 2 of them, which may cause us, based on temperatures and humidity, to have to finish the slabs past 9 p.m. The protocol that we've established with the contractor for that would be that the only tradespeople that would be allowed on site after 9 o'clock would be the concrete finishers. It's usually 2 to 6 workers on site during that time, and they're basically going to be running the power float equipment. So when concrete is delivered to the site, they pump it to the slab area. They screen it out so that they're kind of flattening it across the slab area, and then they wait for it to cure up and they start to finish it. Similar to what you've probably seen for sidewalks, is they skim the top and they start to finish it, and sidewalks you'll get a broom finish. What you need to do for slabs, because we need them as flat as possible and ready to receive flooring materials, is they have to run power finishers on top of them for several hours until it completely cures and finishes up the slab. Those finishers are either handheld or they're driven depending on how large the slab area is. They look similar to what you would envision a small like airboat to look like. It has two big huge fans on the front, and it's either a handheld device or a ride-on behind. It is a small gas-powered engine that runs them, probably less in sound than a lawnmower, but similar because it's a two-cycle engine that they use. And then additionally, past 9 o'clock, we would be getting beyond the daylight hours, so then we would need to run a generator and have lights so that they can keep track of the finishing operations. So again, at this point, based on the progress we've had to date, we're probably looking at 6 more slab placements. Those slab placements would be between now and it would be our hope to finish by mid-June, if not earlier. But as an example, this week we had slab placements scheduled for Wednesday, and for our slabs you cannot place when it rains because it affects the finish of the slab. So more than likely, based on the weather this week, we may be postponing an entire week on the slab that was scheduled for Wednesday. So with that being said, I'm happy to answer any kind of questions you may have.
Throw it up to the board first.
I did have a question. Is there any way that you and your company or the school department or whatever is going to be taking ownership so that we don't overburden our health agent's office with the many residents that this may affect as far as fielding calls and disseminating information? I think that that would be greatly appreciated by the health agent's office, which is already a very busy office.
That was a good point, because I saw in your note that you're going to be providing the police department with the work schedule, but you're also going to be providing the health office
We'll
with the work
provide the health,
schedule,
yes.
so that they both have the same. That way, if people call up.
Well, I was hoping to avoid the call to the health agent's office and have them call you all, you know?
So what we have set up as part of the protocol was that any night that we feel that we're going to extend past 9 o'clock, on a day that we feel we might extend past 9 o'clock, the contractor is responsible for contacting the police department and the fire department. That's not in the protocol, but the police department more so, that if there is a call of either people concerned because there's lights and there's noise coming off site at a certain time, or there's an issue with the neighbors, they can call the police department directly, and then the police know who to then contact. They have a call list, so that they'll be able to contact our office, the contractors' representatives, and they'll know who they need to see on site. They're always given the name of the foreman who's working with the concrete finishers, so that when they arrive on site, they know who to speak to and they know how to get some action.
Will the residents know that too, though, or are they going to have to call the police to
If they
find
just-
that out?
If they just call the police.
So that you guys know.
Yeah, but typically when it comes to noise problems, they call the health office or they call the chairman.
Okay.
Which was the whole purpose of avoiding
So except for
that.
after hours, they do call the police and we get the report the next day.
Yeah.
We ask for the report.
I just remember Bob Manning fielding a lot of late night calls before, so. Okay, but the health office will get the same information that the police department gets?
Yes.
Okay, so they're on that call list.
And you
Because I
feel
didn't see
pretty-
it specified in the letter.
You feel pretty assured it's only 6 times you have to do this?
I mean, that's, the plan is now. It really comes down to the amount of floor space that we place. But as an example, we placed a large portion of the second floor last week. And I would expect the contractor is going to try to continue to utilize that larger placement method so they can get the floors down. And it's good in a way because it decreases the number of times we have to do the placements, but it also increases the possibility of extending over hours, just because when you have a large volume, it all depends on how quickly the concrete trucks come up. I think they had 40 concrete trucks last week for that delivery, and you know, if we have 1 or 2 trucks that don't arrive on time or have to sit for too long, it can affect the entire process.
The other
Right,
question
wait, Sharon,
oh,
wait a
sorry.
second. I see in the letter it says there's going to be 20 placements.
Well, we've had 5 placements already, and since the original letter that was
Okay.
submitted for the waiver, the contractor has decided to do larger placements so that we kind of minimize the possible
Excellent,
impacts.
excellent. Okay, so we're talking about, at this point, 6 nights that might go over,
Might.
as opposed to what we originally thought back just March 4th, 20 nights.
Correct.
So that's
And
an improvement.
that's may go over.
Oh, yeah.
Depending upon if it's conducive, if the temperature is conducive, then.
So have you had to go past 9 o'clock yet?
We have had one overage, and it was just for final finishing, but the other placements were all finished before 9. I think one finished at 8:30, another 7:30, another 7 o'clock. It's been very varied. We've been lucky in some days that we get one of these warmer days, like in April during school vacation week. We got a nice string there, and they were able to place and finish it. I think they were in and out of there before like 8 o'clock, probably 7:30 at night. I mean, that was a significant placement that day, but they were able to get the weather. It was dry. That's why this week is really, looks like it's not going to work out because of the humidity.
Okay. Susan, did you have any questions?
I'm all set, thank you so much.
At what point in the day will you be able to notify everyone? Because I'm wondering if we could put a notice out online or in some way that would be really helpful.
Well, we'll usually know. We can advance on the day that we're looking for a placement. Like, I know as of last Thursday that we were going to try to place Wednesday this week, but the weather is not conducive now, and so we could do it a day in advance. I'd be a little hesitant to do it before then because weather can impact our schedule, and I wouldn't want to have everyone think we're going to do something and then we're not going to do it. So typical of contacting the police department, I can call over to Sharon, or we can just have a posting on the building committee website if people want.
Or even the Board of Health website. That way
Both.
you don't know where, people may not think to look at the committee website, so the more places you have it. Is that possible? Is that something that we could do?
Yeah, I certainly do that.
Trying to reduce the calls.
I was just wondering, on the one night that they did go over, did we receive any calls?
Not that I'm
Or did the
aware of.
police get any
I
calls
don't
from
know
the
what date
noise?
it was.
No, nobody
No.
received it, so,
No.
okay.
Because I always check the next day. I immediately call the contractor, you know, how did we do yesterday? When did we finish up? And we also have to schedule the slab cutting the following day, so I'd like to keep track of that too, because that is a noisy operation. To make sure the guys don't come too early to try to cut it before their day starts. And it was several weeks ago, actually, that it ran over. And it was not a long time over, but it ran over.
Sharon?
What type of ramifications of noise or interruptions, physical activities that would affect the abutters?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, it's a limited amount of work. And at this point, we have placed the slabs from the very back of the building where the gymnasium is, all the way through the center core on the second floor completely, and about 2/3 of the way through the first floor. We've also placed the slab on deck. That's the second floor of the wing that's closest to the Lincoln Village properties, which was the area of our greatest concern that we thought we would be a disturbance, because when you start to perform work at a higher elevation in an open building, it sounds kind of travels outward and downward, and we were concerned that Lincoln Village might be impacted, but that was placed, and as far as I know, we didn't receive any calls, so it wasn't an issue. So we feel that the slab placements moving forward from here are probably less disruptive than what we've had to date, just because we're getting off the second floor in the proximity of neighbors closest to us. We were concerned in the back that we may have had some impacts on Barry Road, because they're very close to the back of the building. And as far as I know, we didn't have any issues. And then, again, when we were doing the high school wing, the closest to the east boundary, we're a little concerned, but that's, second floor at least has already been placed and finished.
Any other questions? And what would be, why don't we just go public comment? We can take people, you guys want to slide back a little bit and then be ready? And then if you want to just come up here, unless you can speak loudly.
I can speak loudly, I'm a
Okay.
teacher.
And just.
Brenda Shepherd, Lincoln Village.
Perfect.
My question is, 9 o'clock, what time is the cutoff then? Midnight, 1, 10? Do we, you know?
It's hard to say. Again, it's dependent on the weather.
Mhm.
Humidity will cause us to extend longer. When we originally filed the notice, it was colder temperatures, and we were more concerned that that would make the slab cure even slower, and we thought that it may go past 12 o'clock. It would be our expectation that if we did exceed, it would not be an extended period of time, but again, we're kind of tied to weather and how fast the concrete cures with the end date, so I couldn't be any more specific than that.
My very limited understanding is it's a great investment that you can't just leave. Once you start this process, you gotta get it right.
Next. We love the company, please, come up and speak.
I'm Doreen from Lincoln Village.
Doreen
I've
from
talked
Lincoln Village,
to
okay.
several of you in the past, and you've been very helpful, Richard and Peter and Sharon most especially, trying to keep things timely, if you will. But even the 7 o'clock in the morning start time is 6:15 when the trucks start with the beep beeps every morning, nonstop. The nighttime cutoff time, there were some people in the C building this week. We have a letter that we'd like to present to you requesting that we have a 10-foot noise reduction fence installed before you do any additional work to try to keep the residents a little bit at bay with the noise factor. We've gotten some feedback, Rich got some feedback today from some people in the C building that some of that generator work last week went on right up till midnight, complaints from the C building. And it may be just because the police department didn't get a call, doesn't mean that it's okay with the residents. There's got to be some kind of neighborly cooperation that goes back and forth here. It can't be all one way. We're getting woken up in the mornings at 6 o'clock, people with children, people who work nights that can't get a decent night's sleep, to keep them up at midnight and then get them up again at 6 o'clock with the beeps coming along that construction road. There's got to be some consideration given to the residents, and I feel like there's been little Band-Aids and little steps, but no solution. Perhaps if there can be consideration given to this fence, that hopefully if you can get it installed as soon as possible, and then upon completion, some passageway so that we could actually, go back to using that passageway to get back and forth to the walking tracks and the fields and things of that nature. But there needs to be some kind of noise reduction fence or something done to protect the noise level, the dust, everything that we, the residents, are having to deal with over there. And this is a 3-year project. This isn't going away in 6 months. And as much as I respect everyone's opinion, you go home to your quiet neighborhoods, which is what we did prior to this whole process. Just have some consideration. We know the noise isn't going to go away, but there needs to be some consideration in regards to the residents.
This is the first this Board of Health has heard of that. So if you did file a complaint,
I
and did
have
let someone
letters
know
that go back,
to the Board of Health?
yes,
Some of the,
on the noise.
sorry.
Okay, Peter?
Some of the, so there is operational noise that you've all had to live with because your neighbor is a high school. That isn't a part of the construction project, and obviously the construction project does create noise. And the operational costs, the operational noises, Doreen, we've talked about, we try to avoid having deliveries early in the morning, but what happens is if our milk vendor says, that's it, we're coming, if it's a choice of not having milk delivered, or if they can do it later, we try to do it later. If they can't do it, but only in the morning early, then they do it in the morning early, and I know that their truck beeps when it backs up. We try to avoid those. And I know, we're coming up to the graduation of our kids in the next couple of weeks, and there'll be noise related to that. So I'd just like to just make sure everybody knows from a historical perspective that there's several hundred students in your backyard, and there's snow removal that has to occur before we open school to make sure that the school is safe. That's going to create noise for all. We understand and appreciate your patience with that. But we try to address those things as best as we can, be a good neighbor.
And those noise things have always been here. There's always been snow removal, there's always been hundreds of high school students in our backyard. We've dealt with that kind of noise level. This is a different kind of noise level.
Go ahead.
James Rogers, and I live over in Lincoln Village. I live right on the line. I'm probably the closest to the construction. The only issue I have, and the other night when the machines were running, they really weren't totally loud, the machines. The only thing we could hear was the generators that they were running. And my only thought was, is there a way to put the generators on the other side of the building? That was the only thing I heard the entire night.
We can look into that.
But the one thing that my concern now is that they are raising everything up. The whole level field and so forth is raised up. So now what fence we did have, it's actually really, you're not even looking at the fence, you're looking at everything. So all the noise is now directly coming right at the building. It's not being blocked by the fence anymore, because we have raised up everything by 10 feet.
And we did have a water issue,
Yeah, we do have a water issue, the runoff.
the runoff.
And what is that water issue, just?
Because
When it's
they've
raining
raised
now,
the-
everything is raised and they put in, the ground is, everything's raised up, so when the last couple of rains we had, it came down and
So we're down
it washed out all the dirt behind, yeah, so now all the tree roots and everything are just exposed.
Okay, I'm sorry, Peter.
When the project is complete, obviously, you know, the operational noise hopefully will go down a little bit for you because those deliveries and things will be on the other side of the building away from you. So that doesn't address the water runoff. It
No.
doesn't address the current construction.
And at that point, it becomes an issue as far as the athletic field and the nighttime noise and the nighttime lights, which is gonna probably be another whole issue. Thus, the reason why a fence may be at least some sort of a solution for the construction as well as the athletic field once it's completed.
We did include as part of the project, a landscaping buffer that goes along the east boundary, close where your unit is really. Because we felt that between the fields and the parking lot that's going to be located at those fields, that it really would be, you know, a visual nuisance somewhat to you. So as part of the plans, we did include like a buffer. I know there's white pines in there because they catch and grow very quickly. But we can, you know, provide you with the information on the buffer then. And we'll look with the contractor because the synthetic fields in the adjacent parking lot are scheduled to be turned over to the school department August of this year. And so we can ask the contractor to accelerate that landscaping work along that boundary so that you're benefiting from that at the beginning of the project rather than waiting till the end. And it also gives us an opportunity if there's any kind of germination issues, et cetera, we'll be able to take care of it while the contractor's still there. So,
Will that help the water issue?
I wasn't aware that you were having a water issue. I'm surprised that you are because the drainage structure for that part of the site has been installed probably 4 weeks or more ago. So I'll look into it because that shouldn't be happening, so we'll clean it up.
Okay, it's good stuff. Anything else? Anybody else? Sir?
Richard Bosmer from Lincoln Village. I'm just wondering, is there a timeline that's going to be attached to the discussion that was just had as far as, you know, the drainage being looked at?
The purpose of this meeting is they've come to this board to get a waiver on the noise regulation. So that's the purpose of this meeting. With regard to the, what kind of fence did you call it? Environmental buffer or?
Yeah, it's a landscape buffer. It's really
Landscape buffer.
made of like trees and shrubs and things like that, so that they're looking at, rather than a fence, we're trying to give them a nice natural buffer, and since it's pines, it won't lose its leaves, so it helps knock down the sound also. Hoping it will help.
So they'll get back to you on that, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Just shoot me now.
Mary.
Mary. Would you let Sharon know? I mean, who should we let know about the water issues so that when we do have an answer?
I'll let Sharon know.
Let Sharon know.
Yeah.
Is that the best
I'll have
way?
the answer on it tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank
Is that
you.
good?
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
We had put a letter together, I just wanted to submit this, and we signed it with a lot of the residents of Lincoln Village, mostly in the C and the D building that are impacted. And our philosophy and the contents of the letter is more, yes, there's construction here, and we want to, you know, we don't want to be the people that say not in our backyard, but it is in our backyard. And so we understand that there's a timeline on the construction, but the athletic fields could be more of an issue for us, and we wanted to address it now while this noise issue was coming up, because I just don't want to hear screaming parents and referee whistles at 9 o'clock at night, and, you know, so we just thought it was the right time to, because those fields are going to be fairly close to some of the units there, and that's why in the letter, as Doreen had mentioned, we were talking about some kind of a sound barrier fence that's fairly high, that that could, and then we understand there will be noise from that afterwards, but I think that will address quite a bit of it.
So does that help a little bit, finding out that they had that in the plan? Anybody who's the one
If it's-
remember?
But it's not a fence.
It's not a noise reduction fence.
It's
The
landscape,
area,
that's a
the area
noise
where
buffer.
where the fields are going, we knew they were doing, I didn't know that they were going to have lights and like soccer at night. Because we're kind of used to the normal daytime noise of the kids playing soccer. But now that they're going into the nighttime with lights, they're loud. I mean, they're real loud, and especially the coaches. And that area down there, it's kind of, the fields drop off. I think they have 3 tiers of wall up to separate the ground to, our ground to where they are. I mean, it's raised up that high that just, you would not be able to put trees or bushes or anything like that in there. It's.
Our deck is 12 feet high, and we're looking
We're
at the
looking
trucks.
at
We're looking at the guys
so
face to
same
face
level.
as they come by
They've raised
us.
everything up so high that now, you can look down at my fence now almost from the land, from that site. It's no longer even in the view.
25 feet.
About 25 feet probably
From
from
our
the
deck.
road.
Our deck to where they're working is about 25 feet.
And I mean, we're
And they've
looking right
raised
at
it
it,
up.
right?
I mean, we watch
So-
it,
So
you
what's the
know.
difference between what was in the proposal that the town voted on and these noise reduction fences? Is there a special type of fence? I don't know, is there a special fence or is,
I think it's more
The
just
fence
the
of the
height
training.
of the fence.
I think it's more of the height, yeah.
Just-
Right.
I mean, you
so,
can't,
but the trees are gonna go higher, gonna keep growing.
I
Yeah, but I don't think the trees are going where.
They're not going the whole
it's not
length.
going down all the way. A lot of that noise comes up, not so much directly in behind my unit, but to the side, and that's where it carries into the whole development. I mean, it just tunnels right in. You can be down at the other end of our complex, and when they're playing soccer, if they score a goal, you know it, because it comes right shooting up through that hole, and that's where there won't really be anything.
Do the soccer games go after 9 p.m.?
There's lights now, there were never
I
night
think
lights.
we never
Do
had-
they?
Why do
Because
they have to play soccer at night?
No, but
They have
hold it, hold it.
'Cause I think that's
Hold
what the
it.
regulation
Just because
is.
they have lights doesn't mean they're gonna go past the noise regulation time.
We
We
don't
have
know.
regulations to say the noise has to stop at 9, games aren't gonna go past 9. Games have never gone past 9.
Are they gonna go past 6 or 7 or dinner time or?
It's,
You're gonna go into the evenings, what
yeah,
it,
I mean,
that's
obviously
why,
they're gonna get the lights.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that's why they have the lights.
It's just that they will be there a lot later than they are now, and I mean, they are
Okay.
loud.
So we need to refocus, because the purpose of this meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really want to read this and digest it and not read it and listen. I want, you deserve the time on it. So I think some of the issues you brought to us need to come to another meeting.
Okay.
So in the meantime, we're gonna talk about the 6 placements that have to go, continue, and whether the Board of Health will provide a waiver for that. Are there any more questions on the slabs? Do you have a copy of this, or is this your copy?
We have a copy.
Because this is kind of, okay, good.
That's the original signature.
Okay, I'm gonna give this to Sharon, and we're gonna use, we'll set up a meeting, and we can talk about this. Somebody from your rep.
Sharon has mine, she can contact.
Yeah.
Okay, you know who to contact.
I don't have a copy of that letter.
No, I'm gonna give it to you.
Oh, I thought she said I had one.
So-
No, you have a contact information.
Oh,
I
yes.
said you had my.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
apologize.
The landscape buffer. Can I just ask you, the landscape buffer you're talking about, is there a reason you can't run it the entire
Yes.
length?
Yes, because of the retaining wall that the gentleman was just talking about. So he's correct in that where we built the synthetic turf fields, the very back, we had to raise the grade approximately 10 feet.
Okay.
And that slowly transitions back toward the closest unit for Lincoln Village. Stops probably about 20 or 30 feet, I think, before your unit starts. So our plan was to carry the landscape buffer up to almost the start of the retaining wall. But then we started to have an issue with the grade change. So if we were to build a buffer based on the natural topography, it would be wells down. It really wouldn't provide them much of any kind of audio buffer, and the visual would be nominal because you'd see right over it to the
Why
fields.
can't you build it up so that it's,
We'd have to build the grade up, and there's a wetland all in that area, so that's part of the reason why we have the large block retaining wall.
Are there any, same?
Just quick question, so we're timely in the manner of the athletic fields. When are those due to be usable at night?
So the lights won't go on until the power goes to the building, which will not be till the building opens.
Oh, so we're talking a couple
that's-
years.
Well, the fields will have, we are hoping the fields will have some limited use in the fall, but they won't have lights. And then in the following, hopefully, school year, then there would be power and lights, and the availability would be there for use in the evening.
Okay, so we have some time to.
It would be reasonable to say that those lights won't be on for at least a year.
Okay, all right, so we don't have to meet next month. But I find it a champion to bring that to us, and we can help you and work with the school and try to figure out where the concerns are. Are there any more issues about the 6 remaining slot placements and the noise? I'm sorry, Allison?
It's okay. So if you didn't have this extension, what could you be looking at in terms of a potential delay on the project? Is that going to be largely impactful? Because it looks like you've already done this within the regulations thus far, so what sort of timeline are we looking at?
Well, for the most part, I mean, the reason we came to the hearing was we want to try to continue to be a good neighbor. We're doing our best on site, and we also want to be respectful of the bylaw, the ordinance. So, you know, it is our hope that we're not going to exceed the 9 o'clock hour, but to continue to be a good neighbor and be respectful to the town and its ordinance, we felt we should ask for it. It will impact the contractor because with each placement, he has to mobilize crews, they have to work to finish it, they have to set up the poor stops or placement stops, so it ends up being a monetary impact in addition to a schedule impact, because they have to place more slabs, they can't get the progress that they want in the building.
And that means money, more money.
Yeah, recognize that.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion. Okay.
To allow the waiver.
I'll make a motion to allow the waiver, the noise waiver for the school building committee on the placement of the last 6 slabs.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. Everybody's good, well, you just had a look.
It's a kind of an exercise in futility as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. All right, if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Opposed?
Abstained?
Abstain.
3, 1, 1. Motion passes. Thank you for your
Thank
time. I appreciate your time. We're gonna look at this letter. I didn't know that you were having, I didn't know that there was issues going on, so please speak freely and let this board know that we'll do what we can.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't think the distraction is as much as what it's going to do. We didn't realize the grade was going to go up that much. Just like when Roger Woods built this place, we got water.
Appreciate that.
It just keeps happening. It changes the way,
You should.
it becomes our problem.
They'll have to look.
Mary's gonna have to watch the video.
I mean, I was even watching you guys the other night, riding around on your things, and, you know, I mean.
Okay.
You guys probably have a better view than I do.
Yes.
It's like watching TV, I mean, we watch the whole thing all
We'll
the time.
pause our meeting for 5 minutes
Basically, just go
so
with
that
it,
they
but we
can
just don't know what's
talk.
gonna happen after the fact.
Yeah, all of us have sliding doors that.
Yeah, we don't want baseball.
I want to go home. Yeah, we do. Oh, sorry, was that too?
Okay.
Oh, well. I've already made a lot of enemies tonight.
You have. That was great. We've got our meeting to go, and first of all, before we go on to the health agents report, I'd like to welcome Miss Allison to the committee. Congratulations on your election.
And congratulations to you too.
Yes? Chair lady, chairperson?
So it's a good group. If you have any questions, we're all very easily approachable. I just offered you guys up, but
Yeah, I answer my phone all the time.
yes, she does. Okay, so health agents report.
Just to let you know, a part of my duties is to provide the board with what I've done for inspections and complaints. So I provide one most of the time for every meeting. I finished up the list for the actual May food inspections, plus the tobacco. Just to let you know, Allison, part of our regulations for the food is you have to do food inspections twice a year, or more frequently if needed, or by complaint. Tobacco inspections are done once a year, or if needed, or complaint. Let me just go down that list of anything that I feel. I think most of these what I have on my inspection list are from my previous reports. I don't think there's any that are new since I originally wrote this up. Do you have any questions at all?
What about the trash, what road was it that?
Number 4.
We were waiting on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, number 4 is the illegal dumping.
Yeah.
The trash, which was 20, it's just.
No, I'm talking about the illegal dumping.
That's going, remember June 3rd?
Okay, that's
Yeah,
right, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, down the bottom, of
To
course.
June 3rd, which I plan to go to court to watch because it's been continued so many times. Yeah.
If I could, I'm gonna take the question that I thought Terry was asking. The house with all the trash that you worked so hard to locate the owner. Did you bill him?
Do you remember at the last meeting I said that I made him pay for the service cost?
He already paid
And
it?
he paid it at court that day.
Oh, great, okay.
And then, we waited, for the check to clear, and then I told the town attorney he could dismiss the case. And he has since been very diligent about making sure that the trash is out, because we're obviously watching it very carefully. We had a house recently, had probably close to 50 bags of trash outside, and it was not owner occupied, it was tenant, the tenants that were occupying the house, and I had a very difficult time locating the owner. We ended up having to put an ad in the Boston Globe because the court wouldn't allow the service that we had to be acceptable. The owner did come to court, and I made him pay for the cost of the service that the town had to pay for either constable, sheriff, the ad in the paper, and also he, had to meet the compliance of cleaning up the property. It gets, this time of year when you start getting warmer weather, you get concerned with the maggots, with, rodents all year round, but maggots and odors because of the heat. But luckily, as we can tell, we've had a cold spring, but it was in compliance. And this is a good chunk of, this is a good chunk of what I do. I do a lot of other things, but a lot of it's enforcement of, and a lot of it is to do with the housing code. Is there any other questions? I was gonna just add that I did already, I might have said this at the last meeting, I apologize, set the rabies clinic already. I just want to remind the heart health education program. We have nurses that we contract with, that they do our flu clinics, they do communicable disease reporting for me, but part of their contract is to provide quarterly series of some sort of education for the public. And this is our third this year, and it's to do with just heart disease and good heart health information. The other part is, I know Terry's gonna be out of town, but are some of you gonna be able to do the walkthrough for the EDS site? Okay.
I need a date.
It's May 16th.
Okay, it says here walkthrough week of May 16th.
Oh, it should be May 16th, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yeah.
It's my grandson's birthday,
Okay. How about you, Sam?
It will depend, this is my busiest month at work, so it really depends on what's happening
Okay.
that week at work.
Are you able at all to, it would be at 3 o'clock?
What kind of day is that?
It's a Monday.
Probably not.
Okay.
I will probably be at work.
Okay.
So,
This is, the high school is, EDS means Emergency Dispensing Site, and it's just so the board members can get a familiarity of what rooms we would use and how we would set up if there was a need to open up the high school as an emergency dispensing
Okay.
site. All right.
All right, anything else on the health agent's report? Any questions? Okay.
I was, just to let you know, called out for an emergency today for, the fire department called me about 4 o'clock for an unsanitary unit. So I went out and cited that, and I'll be issuing a condemnation based on the conditions of the home. So,
Is it a home or a?
It's an apartment.
It's an apartment.
Was it occupied?
Yes, but the person was taken to the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Okay, the next thing is the minutes. Minutes from April 19th.
I will motion to accept.
I'll second that motion.
Samantha motions, Susan seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Second? No, sorry, opposed?
I don't even know where these are.
Abstained?
Yeah, you would abstain.
Yeah, you did.
Allison abstained, so 401.
Okay.
We did the vouchers here.
All right. And we'll have to get this on the tape so that Mary can watch it. Okay, minutes. Vouchers, we pass the vouchers around. Every meeting we pass around vouchers. It's whatever bills have been accumulated. It goes anywhere from the trash haulers down to supplies for the office. We just kind of review it. If there are any questions, Sharon answers them, and we sign it. And we already took care of that. Thank you. We have some more correspondence from Old Colony Planning Council. I get 2. Did I not get the March one? This is the March one. The agenda for March. I'm gonna pass it around. And the agenda for April. I'm still not sure why we get these.
I was just gonna say.
There's
why do we
very,
get this
very
again?
rarely do I see things on here that has anything to do with the health, but I guess there's a possibility, so it's good
It's
to
nice
have
to
too
see the
much
format.
information. Yeah, it's good to have too much information
Oh.
rather than not enough. Chair's message, like I said, I wanted to thank Allison for joining the committee. Any questions? We're easily approachable. Meeting, Samantha?
I'm sorry, could we jump back to correspondence?
Yes, you may.
And if I can't say this, but I think it will fall under email correspondence, if I could give an update about the e-cigs that I found out. So,
Correspondence.
I sent an email to Terry. So the state currently has a bill taking on e-cigs work in the working place and public places. And so we should see some movement on that if it's going to pass in the next couple months. So that will give us a good framework of, if what the state's doing, we can adopt the similar regulations in our own, and those will answer all the outlying questions we had.
Nice.
They're
Thanks.
also raising the age to 21.
So that's part of the bill,
Yes,
right?
I heard that. It was all together this past weekend.
Well, we knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
No surprise.
yep.
And as a segue, DJ Wilson is coming to our next meeting.
Okay.
So because of that correspondence, yes, DJ is coming to the meeting, and it's good to have our questions, but I think we should hold off on making any decisions until we see how the state does, because it may just be a couple of months, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And why should we jump the gun if we can get some better ideas? So we'll still keep DJ coming in, this will be a good education point. But we won't rush the changing of the regs right away. Maybe
He
look
might
at-
have more current information by then,
And
too.
he probably
Yeah.
will.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I actually got some information about the vapes at that, I know it was supposed to be about the dissemination of medical things, but, and meningitis, but in the downtime, everybody was talking about vapes, and it was all the other health agents and how they handle the vape things. So when we get to that discussion,
Good.
I'll have some new information
Good.
about that to go
Great.
with your e-cigarettes.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
And that's what you call a board, everybody doing their part.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
yeah. I think we're all gonna dig it.
We're gonna dig it. Okay, so this was a good meeting. Thank you for the questions to the school building committee. We are probably gonna have another meeting with this group, shaking out based on this letter. What we'll do is we'll make a copy, have Mary make a copy and mail it to everybody so we can all read it
Yeah.
in our leisure. And then we can figure out where we're gonna take it from there. But they had some
That's just a-
concerns about the noise once the schools are up, so we do have a little time. It's not a June thing we have to take care of, but maybe within the next 6 months.
All of a sudden, it's gonna be July, and we'll be only meeting once.
And that's the other message I wanted, is to start thinking about what Monday you wanna meet in July and what Monday you wanna meet in August. Typically, we meet the first and third, but in July and August, we generally meet once that
Yeah, right
month.
now it's scheduled for the 3rd
The third Monday?
of July and the 3rd Monday of August.
That's a good.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm away August 8th, which is a Monday, so
Yeah.
that works out well.
So what about July?
It's the 3rd Monday of July.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're doing
Third
the
Monday.
third
Yeah,
Monday.
All
That's-
three
that's
of
good,
us.
yeah.
So third Monday of July, on
And the
June,
3rd
July,
Monday of
August.
August.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's perfect, because the first 2 weeks are the vacation weeks.
just July
Just
and
July
August.
and August.
So we have 2 meetings in
Mm.
May, 2 meetings in June, 1 July, 1 August, and back to 2.
I think that goes back for Terry.
And if there's nothing else,
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
You got that right.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Nice. All right, yeah, let's pass these on.